everyone. You know me, I'm the Belfast Historical Vice President, Joshua Cole, and I'm here with Community Pillar Bill Nichols. So, Bill, throughout Belfast life, you've pretty much seen most of it. Can you tell me about your early years in Belfast?
Well, my early years in Belfast, I can remember Belfast was I think, a thriving community. You never had to go to Wellsville or Olean shopping. Everything you needed you could buy in Belfast. I remember there were 7 gas stations. There were 2 grocery stores. There was a drugstore. There was a soda fountain. You could buy clothes in Belfast. You could buy furniture in Belfast. You could buy new cars in Belfast. There was really no need. You had 2 banks at one time. Now we have none. You really could survive. You could live in Belfast and not have to go any place to get anything else. And that's what I remember. And I know growing up in Belfast in the 50s and 60s, it was a great time in my life, and anybody who went through that period. I remember walking over town to the drugstore to get a haircut at Harry Moran's barber shop, which is now a vacant lot on Main Street. And it was just a good time to grow up in a small community.
What was the town like when you were a kid compared to now? And I guess you already answered that, but...
Well, yeah, there was things to do. There was, we would get a bunch of kids together and we would play baseball in somebody's backyard, or go up to school and play baseball. There was a swing set at school. There was a merry-go-round. There was a slide. There was what we called monkey bars that we played on, and people would fall off them. People would get bruised up. But I guess all those things have been eventually taken out because now they're considered dangerous. But and we used to ride our bicycles all over town. No helmets, no padding, no nothing. And I don't remember anybody ever suffering a brain injury or even any skull or head injury. We had, you'd have to scrape up your knees and your elbows, but that would be about the extent of the injuries that we would go through.
So you started out as a heavy equipment operator in Belfast?
I went to work in Belfast on August 15th, 1968. Fran Brewer was the highway superintendent, and he hired me just for a summer job. Well, August 15th, the summer was pretty near gone. And so it come autumn, and then it turned into early winter, and I kept expecting any day that he was going to tell me that, they didn't need me anymore, but he didn't, and I kept going to work every day. And later on, I said that when I retired, I was the only person who ever started a summer job that lasted 50 years.
I don't think anyone could say that nowadays. It's kind of like a Buffalo Bills Super Bowl run.
Yeah.
What were the biggest challenges you faced in your years as superintendent?
The biggest challenges was doing a budget every year. And I don't know now. Yeah, you have a little experience in doing budgets, but in those days I used to do my budget by myself. I did all the appropriations. I knew where the money was coming from, and I would, I prepared my own budget. I don't know if that's the case anymore. And I know before my time, previous superintendents didn't prepare their own budgets. They let the board pretty much do it for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I always did my own budget, and that was tough every year. That was probably the toughest part of the job was doing the budget and trying to get by with as little as possible.
Right.
And it took a lot of time to do the budget, and the budget process is a big process for any community in the county.
Yeah, it was a big pain in the butt then. It's a big pain in the butt now still.
I'm sure. And the paperwork in the job has increased tremendously.
Because there's more need and more necessity.
Absolutely, and there's more state aid.
Yeah, exactly. More programs.
Yep.
Do you have any favorite memories of your time? Like, do you have a favorite memory of serving the town?
Oh, probably one of my biggest memories was the snowstorm that we got on Christmas Day, 1978. Literally, Christmas Eve day, we had green grass, and by the end of Christmas, that night, Christmas night, we had received 3 feet of snow.
Wow.
And that was my longest day. I went to work at 2 o'clock in the morning that particular day, on Christmas Day, and I worked until midnight. I got home. 22 hours. 22 hours in a snowplow.
And I'm sure it wasn't easy, especially with how cold it gets.
And none of my men could get to work. I had to go get one of the snowplow, and I had to go get every one of the men.
Really? Wow.
That was the longest day of my life, work-wise.
So when it comes to community and legacy, what does being considered a pillar of the community mean to you?
Well, I don't consider myself a pillar of the community. I'm proud of the years that I spent there. I was a fireman for 50 years. I was an EMT for 45. I was an EMT instructor for 25.
That reminds me, my dad told me that his favorite memories of being in the fire service and the EMT courses was when you both taught classes together.
Yeah, that's right. We did.
Bill Nichols and Randy Cole.
Yeah. Yes, I remember that. Those were good days.
In your eyes, what makes Belfast such a special place?
It's a small town.
With a lot of heart.
And it's, we're different from Angelica and Rushford and some of the other small towns, but all the towns are basically the same.
So what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in our community over your lifetime?
I've seen a lot of decline. I think the businesses that have gone out, and to me that's sad. Once upon a time, River Valley Farms, when Howard Miller owned it, that was a thriving business, and it employed roughly 50 people. And for a little town of Belfast, that was a lot. And then we also had the Genesee Steel and Tank, which is up on the west end of town. Now it's a pallet factory, I believe.
Right.
But I can remember there was a lot of activity. They employed a lot of people up there, and it was just, a lot of people in Belfast used to work in Wellsville and in Olean. In Wellsville, we had Worthingtons and we had Preheater, and people that worked there drove back and forth. But, there were so many businesses in town. There was the restaurants. Like I said, there was originally, I remember, 7 gas stations. And it's been...
compared to back then and now, it's declined. We are slowly making progress, I'm guessing. So, like, now we, in that empty lot next to where Three Bums and where Sandy Tabor's antique shop was, they have a pizza truck. Then next to where Sandy Tabor's antique store was is going to be a distillery. And then after that is a small jewelry handmade store. And then after that, they just invited in a new business called Triple Escapes. It's a massage parlor.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So we're slowly transcending and getting more. We're slowly getting our businesses back on Main Street.
It would be nice. It would be nice to see all the storefronts
open.
Definitely. We used to have a bakery in Belfast.
Didn't we?
Yep. That was where the Accord building is now. And that was one of the... there was 2 stores there. There was the bakery and the Market Basket store, which was a chain of grocery stores. And that's where Bob Harrington started working. In fact, my uncle used to manage that Market Basket store back in the 50s. The bakery was right next door to the same building. That building was originally called the Dort Building. And
they used to do furniture and undertaking.
Yep.
It seems like that's kind of where the start of Harrington's came from, when Bob had.
Right, when Market Basket went out, I believe Bob was the manager of the store at the time, and it just, all of a sudden the sign didn't say Market Basket anymore. It said Harrington's Grocery.
And now they moved down, and now they're bigger than ever.
Yep, it's been Harrington's Grocery ever since.
Yep, and now the laundromat that they used to have is now the new liquor store.
Yep.
So now that's helping them out tremendously. The house behind the laundromat's gone now, so...
Oh, that has been torn down?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yep, that's been torn down, and now they have the liquor store and where the laundromat was, and they still have gas there. Because I remember a time when the gas was scarce there. But then gas became scarce at the Mobile, and now we're able to get gas at both places again.
Yeah, but can you imagine that one time 7?
I could never imagine that. And what's even worse, Angelica can't get 1.
Yeah.
So now here we are, the part of the interview that everyone has been asking me, mostly your friends back in Belfast. The softball Belfast Shamrocks.
Well, the Shamrocks, we got our start way back in about 1968, I believe, and it started out as a challenge match between the Belfast Legion and the Angelica Legion for a quarter keg of beer. Loser bought the beer and everybody drank it at the end of the game. And I don't remember who won the game. We probably did. We had far superior talent to Angelica. But to play on the team, you had to belong to the Legion, either as a social member or as a Legionnaire. And so they had a sign-up list in there. Well, my gosh, everybody wanted to play in a softball game. And I believe we had like 50 people sign up to play. And Angelica about the same. And So then we had a rematch, and again, we probably won that game also. But there were so many guys that wanted to play that a softball game's only 6 innings, so a lot of people didn't get to play much at all. And so we decided after the next year, we thought, gee, this was kind of fun. We'd ought to form our own team. So we picked some guys, and we asked Archie Hillman to be the manager of our team. And we had I'll never forget, we had a secret meeting one Sunday afternoon down in the bank. Archie at the time was the bank manager. And so we had a secret meeting. It wasn't really secret, but there was myself and some other guys that were at the meeting was Carl Swain, Steve Whalen, I believe David DeRock, Bill Huff. I think we were the core group that was at this meeting with Archie. And we discussed different things, who we wanted to get on the team, and we didn't want to get so many guys that everybody didn't get to play. Mm-hmm. So we tried to keep it down to like 10 or 11 guys. And then we had a discussion on what to name the team. Well, we didn't want to go by the name Bulldogs because the high school was the Bulldogs.
Right.
So, and I don't remember who mentioned. I mentioned the Fighting Irish. We wanted to play on the Irish history of Belfast.
Right.
So I said, well, how about the Fighting Irish? Somebody else says, well, there's already a Fighting Irish.
Right, Notre Dame.
Okay, so, and then I don't remember who suggested, maybe it was Archie, but somebody suggested the Shamrocks. And I remember saying, Shamrocks? That's kind of a wimpy name for a ball team. And we kicked it around, and we agreed that's what we would name the team, was the Shamrocks. And then some of the guys on the team that we decided we were going to invite to join, we notified them, and they were all pretty eager to do it. We had John Coble. He was still in high school. John was a senior in high school, so he couldn't play until school was out, until the high school baseball season was over with. So we had Rich Sullivan on the team. It was Zane White, Artie Cooper. After a couple of years, David Neither joined the team, and it just over the years we formed a league. We formed what they called the Genesee Valley Softball League, and our biggest rivalries were from Cuba. And they were great times in our lives. We had so much fun. Ronnie Enders was on the ball club at one point in time. And one of the things we would do after the game, we would usually go to somebody's house and have a cookout. We'd have some beer. We'd quite often go after the games. We'd go to the Legion and have a couple of drinks there. And then we would go to one of the players' houses and we'd throw a very impromptu cookout. Usually hot dogs and hamburgers, and it just a great time to be part of the team and to be part of Belfast, because we had a lot of followers, people that would follow us, and our primary umpire was Bob Smith. Bob Smith was a very fair umpire, and he was the plate umpire, not only for Belfast, but when we would go to these other communities to play, they would quite often ask Bob to umpire the home plate, because they knew he was honest and fair, and he didn't care who he called out on a strike. I remember he called me out on a call third strike one time that I disagreed with vehemently, and I remember throwing my bat in the air, and Bob said to me as he looked at the bat flying up, he looked up and he said, when the bat hits the ground, you're out of the game. Then the bat hit the ground and he threw me out of the game.
Dang.
But there were so many, and I got so many memories of different games that we played. We went to Olean one time and played in the softball tournament with a bunch of other teams, and we were outclassed. We thought we had a good team, but we got our butts kicked bad in that tournament. But it was a good memory. And the Shamrocks lasted quite a few years, and we always drew. All of our players were right from Belfast.
Now, I heard this. Is it true that you guys would place a beer at each plate, and if you ran to the base, you had to drink the beer?
We didn't do that in the league. The league was very serious.
Okay.
We didn't drink during the game. We didn't drink anything until after the game. So
Well, that's good.
we didn't know that. Maybe years later, after I retired from the sport, maybe they did do that, but they did. I don't think they did that in connection with the Genesee Valley Softball League.
Right. So, you did mention before you were on the fire and rescue squad. What was it like in the Belfast Fire Department when you first joined?
Well, when I first joined, I was just a kid. My dad was a fireman, and I guess that's where I got my interest. Because as a little kid, when the fire whistle would blow, I would, always want to get up and go to the fire with him, and he'd let me go. He'd take me in the car, but the rule was I had to sit in the car. So I guess that's where I got my interest in the fire service. And after I joined, later on I became chief, and I was chief for a couple of years, and that's a grueling job.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of paperwork involved in being fire chief. There was then, and I'm certain there more is now, although now more and more of it is done on computer.
Oh, more than likely on computer.
And on paper. We used to have to type up reports for the state and everything. And but things were different. We only had two trucks. We had the old Sanford, and we had the 1950, I believe it was a 51 or 52 Ford. And we had a brand new truck on the way, but when I joined, we didn't have it. We got it about 2 months after I joined the department, and that was called Engine 59, and that was our main pumper for many years. And it was, and of course, the old fire hall was located across the street on Main Street where Lifeway is now, and that was interesting because it wasn't bad when we had just the two fire trucks, but then later we had an ambulance, and then we got another fire truck, and it pretty much filled the building up.
Do you have any stories that always stuck with you, either because it was challenging or because it was meaningful when you were in the fire service and EMT?
Oh boy. We seemed to have a lot of, when I was in the early days, we seemed to have a lot more structure fires than they do today. And I think a lot of it was, a lot of people back in those days burned wood. There wasn't a lot of regulations for chimneys and whatnot, and barn fires. I remember barn fires were the most, they were I can remember one of the worst ones was up on 305, Hamer fire. They lost 69 head of cattle.
Ooh.
Died right in the stanchions. They couldn't get them out, and that was a cold, bitter night. Another cold one I remember was when it was Charlie Bedwell's farm right down where on 19. Who's the gentleman there now? Can't think of his name.
But you,
Steve.
oh,
I know it as well as I do my own. Sorry.
You're good. You're okay. I did hear that you were involved with getting the first ambulance for the rescue squad.
I was in the rescue squad. I was a charter member. I guess I was one of the first ones, because I had my EMT, or not an EMT card. Back in that day, there wasn't any EMTs. You had to have a first aid card, rescue card, and which I already had because I got that when I was in college. And our first ambulance was actually a converted hearse.
Really?
Really. We bought it from Emser Funeral Home in Wellsville here.
Wow.
And it was gray. Originally we called it the Gray Goose. But then we painted it white. And it was a real experience to work out of that, because it was basically an overgrown station wagon. And it was literally, it wasn't impossible, but it was very difficult to work on a patient in the back of that ambulance, because what you would have to do is, if you were one of the attendants, you had the driver, you had one of the attendants who had a little jump seat in the back, and then the other attendant would have to kneel on the front seat and lean over the back to work on the patient. And we didn't have the equipment that they have today. We didn't have room for it.
No.
For accidents, we carried some rescue equipment on the fire truck, which always responded to an accident along with the ambulance. And it was far different from the ambulances we had when I finally retired from the EMT business, but it was very fulfilling. I really enjoyed it a lot. There was a lot of calls that I remember specifically. There's a lot of them that I wished I could forget.
Yeah. We always have those. My first ever call as a firefighter was drunk driving hit middle of the road, and she passed away a week after. So that was, you never forget, but you also wish you could forget. Reflections of your life. What accomplishments are you most proud of when it comes to Belfast?
Well, I think I did a good job with the highway department for all those years. I was superintendent. I worked there for 50 years. 42 as the highway superintendent, and saw a lot of changes. I remember initially we didn't have any communication at all. Once you left the highway garage with your snowplow, you had a wingman. Back then, you always had to have a wingman, because they wanted no communication. They wanted two people in the truck in case something happened.
Right.
And I remember when we bought our first two-way radios, and then of course now everybody's got cell phones, and they've gone to a one-man truck. Trucks now are designed for one man operator. But I guess when I was superintendent, I was on because you all know about the CHIPS program.
The CHIPS program,
well, in the beginning, there was a committee in Albany that more or less drafted the regulations for the CHIPS program, and I was honored to be one of 2 town highway superintendents in the state to be on that committee. And
wow,
it was made up of county superintendents, town superintendents, 2 from each, village superintendents, and city DPW people, and plus some New York State DOT people. And I remember one of the guys on the committee was the deputy superintendent of transportation from New York City. I'll never forget the guy. He had a very strong New York City accent. And it was just, at first I was just couldn't believe it, and I'm sitting here at this big conference table with these guys and designing this CHIPS program, and it was interesting and it was exciting, and I enjoyed it. It required a lot of trips to Albany to do these meetings,
but it was worth it.
It was worth it, and now the CHIPS program has grown in a lot from what we started with.
It really has.
I think initially it was $79 million statewide. Really? Was all it was. But
wow. So if you could be remembered for one thing, what would you want it to be?
If I could be remembered for being a nice guy who cared about the town. Always have and always will.
What advice would you give the younger generations growing up in Belfast?
Don't forget where you came from. It's still a good place to grow up. I would take a small town over a big city any time, because I have lived a little bit in the big city when I was in Rochester, when I was in college, and it was always great to get back home. And it's a good place to come back to. You know, there's people in town that have moved away, retired, and come back.
Now that we're at the conclusion of this interview, is there anything you would like to say to the town of Belfast?
Thank you. Thank you for your support over all these years. I've always looked at Belfast as being, everybody is a friend of mine. I'm extremely proud of the bridge. Words can't express how pleased I am over that honor. But it was an honor to work for Belfast for all those years. I met a tremendous amount of people in county government and state government, and feel like I've made a lot of friends in this world, and I'm just very, very thankful for the people in Belfast who kept voting for me every time I ran for highway superintendent. I won 15 elections altogether, and I'm very proud of that. And I just thank the town of Belfast.
That's amazing. And as one of your friends, thank you for doing this interview so much.
I enjoyed it, and enjoyed it very much, Josh.
And enjoying your company and just hearing your input about the town is just so meaningful, and it makes me very proud of what I do for the town regarding the history and being on town board. And You're definitely an inspiration behind some of that.
Well, I hope so.
Well, thank you, Bill, and everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.